I will be discussing about how to understand Satoyama in the 21st century, because we cannot live in the past. We have to live the present, and we have to look forward to the future, and therefore we have to understand what Satoyama really is in the 21st century, where we are in right now. We cannot think of Satoyama in the past. We're always saying that Satoyama has been like this, has been like that, but what is Satoyama now? Right? I think this is the very important thing, so that our training would be very successful. Because who else, or who would not want this to be a successful training program? All of us want this to be a very successful training program. And success is measured in terms of environmental services, the nature ecosystem services that was discussed by Dr. Nakamura, and all the rest, no? The community well-being. Success is measured in terms of health, in terms of educational, the welfare, no, of the people. I think that this should be the indicators of, and we want all of this to be back, because people who were in the Satoyama landscape in the past were enjoying all of those services, were enjoying all of those privileges, and we want that back, but in the context of the 21st century, because we cannot live back, of course. Maybe I just would like to get back, no, to the what really Satoyama is, because we would like every one of us, especially the workforce, because we are the ones in contact with the students, and therefore we have to really understand literally and figuratively what really Satoyama is, because we are coming from different disciplines. That's why I was asking your discipline. We are coming from different disciplines, but we are all embedded in the Satoyama landscape, and therefore it's very we really have to understand what is Satoyama. Whether you are a statistician, whether you are an anthropologist or a sociologist or a natural scientist like me, or mathematician or what, everyone should understand what Satoyama is, because we are living in the Satoyama landscape. So I understood the concept way back in 2003 when I was doing a postdoctoral research grant at Kyoto in the Forestry Institute. I was in the landscape ecology laboratory, and that laboratory was really doing Satoyama work. And so that was my first immersion of what's really is Satoyama. So what I got is that it's a village. No? It's a village. It's a landscape with a village, with a farm, with a forest. So that is our Satoyama. It may be different from one country, from one region to the other, but that is the basic element of Satoyama. There has to be like that in a Satoyama landscape. It's not only a forest, it's not only a farm, it's not only a community, but it's a landscape. It's a landscape. That is a Satoyama. Okay. In the Satoyama, firewood, people are gathering firewood from the Satoyama landscape. People are gathering food, they're gathering herbs and ornamentals for their homes. And they are all taken from the wilderness. You will see here, this is coming from Mount Mayon, in my study in Mount Mayon, in the southern part of Luzon Island. So people are getting firewood from the foothills of Mount Mayon, and they are getting their herbs and the others. And I think this is also happening in Ifugao, but in a different context, because they have different culture as well. Bayanihan culture, this is the spirit of cooperation exists in the Satoyama landscape. There is no such thing as you have to pay for every service that you have to get from a particular person or from a particular organization. But the thing is, there is that spirit of harmony. There is the spirit of cooperation. They can just borrow salt from the neighborhood. If they have exhausted their supply of salt, of sugar, of carrots, or of load, if we are in the context of the 21st century, now you have exhausted your load, your cell phone load, and therefore you have to ask somebody else, please give me some load so that I can text my friends or like that. So you see, that is Bayanihan culture. That is cooperative spirit in the Satoyama landscape. In 2004, I published an article together with Professor Osumi in Kyoto, and this was published in the Journal of Nature Studies. We tried to survey the Philippine Satoyama landscapes, which we classify into three So you have here rice as the main crop, corn as the main crop, rice or corn mixed with other crops like coconut, banana, and coffee here in the Philippines. So not like other countries where they mainly rely on rice and all the rest no, are secondary. But here, because this is the tropics and there are lots of other crops that we grow instead of rice, like in the southern part of the Philippines, the main crop is corn, and the central Philippines is corn. So they eat corn every day, every meal is corn. In Luzon, the main crop is rice. So every meal you eat rice, just like in Japan. But in the other parts of the Philippines, they eat corn as their main meal. So this is distributed in the different parts of the country. So in Luzon, more of rice as the main keystone species in the Satoyama landscape. Because in a landscape, there will always be keystone species. In your classroom, what is the keynote species in your classroom? Who is the keynote species in the classroom? The students are the keynote species. If that somebody will die, the classroom will not exist. The teacher is the keynote species, the one bringing the knowledge, the one bringing everything in the classroom. Of course, the students will also give back. But the keystone species there is the teacher. So in here, the keystone species is rice. In Asia, generally, the keystone species is rice. So if rice will be lost in Asia, Asians will die. Because we are all dependent on rice. Look, if we go to other countries, you go to US, you go to Europe, you always look for Chinese restaurant or Japanese restaurant because you want to eat rice. If you don't have rice for 1 week, then you will go hungry. Right? Because we are used to rice. Here, corn is the main crop here. So they eat corn. They also look forward to corn meals every day. Not rice. Not rice. But rice is a good substitute for corn already if they cannot find corn in America. If they cannot find corn in Europe. So rice would be enough already for them. So, okay. So this is the landscape. So Ifugao is a very typical example of Satoyama landscape where rice is the main crop. So you will have the farm, rice farm, you will have the village, and then you will have the muyong, or the forest, the man-made forest that is always cultivated or that is always taken care of by the community because this is the main source of water, fertilizer for their farms. And in fact, these people, they do not even know that what they are practicing because they are sustaining the forest, it's not only for themselves, it's also for the lowland provinces like Pangasinan, like in the lower provinces of the Philippines. They are dependent on the watershed that is being taken care of by the Ifugaos in the Cordilleras. You see, they are heroes actually. But Pangasinan people, they do not know. Even Ifugao people, they do not know that they are the ones sustaining the landscape in the lowlands. Maybe you can tell them now in your classes. Okay. So this is now a typical landscape with corn and in the central and southern Philippines. So you have your forest again, and then they call it in some other terms, and then you have the farm, and then you have the village here. See? So basically the same element, only the crops are differing. Only the crops are differing. In the same manner, here you have mix, Satoyama association with mixed crops like rice, this one, or sometimes corn, and then there are coconuts, bananas around, and very common in Bicol, in southern part of Luzon Island. However, at present, our Satoyama landscapes are subjected to intensive activities because of population rise, because of population pressure. We have never controlled our population. I think population is the main problem, which would result to poverty. But how about the services which are not computed? Because we are only computing the economic goods and services. We have never computed the air. We have never computed the fresh air that we breathe every day. if we are going to value the air, we call that um, economizing ecology, right? We have to economize ecology. We have to put value. One of my PhD students was doing ecological valuation of a forest because we cannot just value the timber in the forest, but we have to value as well the fresh air, the water generated by the forest, the nutrient cycle. I don't know if you can, the nutrient dynamics in the soil. It has to be valued as well. It has never been valued by economists because the economists are only valuing the timber. They're only valuing the firewood. You see? So, if these are valued, these are the things that our Satoyama students should know so that they will value the forest, so that they will know that there's so many things aside from the timber that we see around. There are still so many things, services that we can get. So this is being subjected to intensive activity. So we are left with landslides, with poor soil, with things disastrous to human communities, not only to our forests and all, also the people living around. You see here the Philippine map of 1900 Philippine map. That is now the projected 1999 map of the Philippines. You see, no more cover, no more forest cover. That's why the Philippines has been listed as one of the hottest of the hotspot, biodiversity hotspot in the world. Though we are a mega diversity, but we are a hotspot as well because of the intensive human activity, because of the population rise. That is the current state of the Philippine Satoyama landscape. A big problem because we lost several ecosystem services. The environment is devastated. People are impoverished, exhausted. Some are feeling exploited, in fact. So these are the people we are dealing with in our training. They are in utmost poverty, and they are already tired of life. They are tired of life. So they would always tell us, they are all the same. The training is still the same. So why should we go? Something like that. So they feel exhausted. So I think these are the things that we have to think about when we conduct our training, when we plan the curriculum, when we do the lecture and answer portion, when we deal with our students. We should have this as well, not only in our mind, but also in our heart. So that a group of Kanazawa University professors were thinking of, together with our JICA office, they were planning for a human capacity building. But our efforts should be honest and sincere. Should be technically sound as well. So all our plans, all our introductions of innovations, it has to be technically sound. Just because organic agriculture is good, it is good all throughout. Is it in the Satoyama framework? Is it embedded in Satoyama concept? Something like that. So it should be technically sound. Just because it has been practiced by several people, it's okay. Is it technically sound? That's why we should be experts. The workforce who will be in contact with our students should be experts, because how would we know that it is technically sound if we do not know ourselves? Right? So we have to know ourselves as well. But because Satoyama has not come into our curriculum, it was only 2010 when it was part of the COP10, where Japanese scientists were very successful, together with the Japanese government, in having this approved during the conference of the parties in 2010 in Nagoya. So we have the so-called International Partnership for Satoyama Initiative that was approved by COP10 in Nagoya in 2010. So that's why we have to do a lot of reading as well as teaching. This is just a non-formal continuing education course we are dealing with, but it doesn't mean they are of second class. They are still first class, right? Just because it's just a training, it's not just a training, but it is a training actually. It is a training for our communities. Because we want to have community well-being here. And we want to save our world heritage. It's not the heritage of Ifugao only. It's a world heritage. Because it's not found in other countries. So therefore, it's not yours alone, but it's of the world. That's why we want to save that. We want to save. So, and then we have to be sensitive of the local culture when we will be dealing with this. So, in effect, we should have the true Bayanihan and Satoyama spirit. We should have the true Bayanihan and Satoyama spirit. But what is Satoyama in the 21st century? This was asked by President Nakamura of Kanazawa University. Oh, okay. Yeah. So that was his question in, I think, 2013? 2013, and it was relayed to me by our chancellor. Our chancellor was attending the forum in Kanazawa. But I think it should, for us, workforce, I think, what is Satoyama capacity building in the 21st century? We have to understand, we have to internalize. It has to be embedded in all of our being so that we will become successful with our undertaking. Do you think capacity building, Satoyama capacity building in the 21st century is bringing people back to the farm? Because people are going to Manila now. So do you think we have to have an exodus of people in Ifugao, from Ifugao who are now living in Manila, we have to bring them back to Ifugao? It will be ridiculous to do that. It will be impossible because of the human rights issues and everything. Right. It's impossible, actually. Is Satoyama only farming? So that all our special programs and special projects of our students are all about farming? If we have really understood what Satoyama landscape is, shall we deal only with farming? In the 21st century, Satoyama leadership style that should be captured by our social science expert, maybe. So maybe Satoyama leadership style should be one of the items that should be worked out by one of our trainees so that they can influence the local government unit. Satoyama way of life, Satoyama tourism. Satoyama tourism. So how can Satoyama tourism be implemented in Ifugao, for example, in Banawi, for example? In all countries, when they got into a park, there is an entrance. But there is no such thing happening in Banawi, I think. I don't know now. Is there an entrance where people will have to pay 5 pesos? That should be a priority among our trainees. Maybe the one representing the local government of Banawe, the local government of Kiangan, the local government of Mayoyao, one should be trained about Satoyama tourism. I have been insisting on that during the first batch of trainees. Satoyama way of life. Right. So we are here to influence people because we are capacitating. We are capacitating. Then we have harmonious and sustainable way of life. These are the focus of a Satoyama special project. A Satoyama special project that we are to instill. Obviously, today's generation in the Satoyama landscape is a digital generation. Every one of you have your FB accounts. Maybe you don't have Twitter, but some of you have Twitter. Some of you have your own Instagram. But all of us have our own like this. This is not mine. I don't know kanino to. All of us have like this, right? Oh, you don't have? Maybe a similar one. Analogous to this. Even the old version would be fine. You can contact a person in Japan coming from here using this one. Right. So, digital generation. Therefore, our training should be in that context, because people would not be attracted to our training if we will not contextualize that in the 21st century. Internet users in the world, distribution by regions. In 2013, you will see here, Asia is the one leading the flock. Asia is number one here. 45% of Asians are using internet every day in their lives. And we are part. Ifugao is not an exemption to this. And you will find out here the list of countries by number of internet users. So China, the one leading, United States, India, Japan. So you will find out here, so several Asian countries, Philippines, Indonesia, South Korea. And then you will have here Japan, you have India, you have China. Occupying the top ranks, you see? So, digital Asia. The Philippines is also digital. And you will find out here the internet users per 100 inhabitants. For the whole world, you will have here the yellow. The developed world, you will have the blue. The developing world, including us, you will have the red. But you will see here there is an accelerating growth of internet users. Accelerating growth of internet users. So it will not go back anymore because every now and then, new version will come. And people will also buy the latest version from time to time. So it will never go back to where we came from in the old Satoyama landscape. Have you thought of that? In the Philippines alone, in 2014, we have 40 million internet users. What does this imply? What does this imply? Because you see, we have to infect a huge number of people if we want to get more ecosystem services. So we have to infect not only Ifugao, in fact, but all the rest of the country and all the rest of the world. That's why Japan really pushed through with the international partnership for Satoyama initiative, because they know that it will help change the world. It will help make a difference in this world and change the world through this concept, but not living in the past. We have to contextualize in the 21st century. How can the University of the Philippines, the only national university in the Philippines, help us? And how can all the state universities where IFSU is one can help this initiative? This is a world initiative. This is not a Japan initiative. This is a world initiative because this has been approved by the Conference of the Parties in 2010. And what is the role of the digital unit of UP, which is the UP Open University, to promote Satoyama in the 21st century? What should be our role? What should be the role of issue? You see, in the late part of 2014, the Philippine government, the Philippine president signed into a law the Republic Act number 10650, which is the Open Distance Learning Act, because the government realized that this is a very important initiative right now, because the government realized that there is no other way to go. There is no other way to go but to go digital, because we want to influence a huge number of people. So in here, UPOU has been entrusted by the Philippine government to help all other organizations that check the Commission on Higher Education, the different issues, including IFSU, the TESDA, and all the rest of the organizations who would ask for help, would request for help on how to go into it, so that we can have more people. Who would be influenced with our Satoyama framework and Satoyama concept. In the University of the Philippines Open University, we are combining the open learning principles, distance education principles, and the e-learning principles into one. In this worldview of Chancellor Alfonso, our Chancellor, published in 2014. And she is highlighting here learner-centeredness, flexibility of learning, and active learning. Active learning because people, our trainees, will do it immediately in their communities. It is flexible because they come only once a month or once a week. Once a month, no? They come only once a month. But however, as what Sensei has been emphasizing, they cannot just be sitting down in between our meetings. So they should have their assignments. And these assignments have to be planned by our workforce. They have to be planned by our workforce. So that we can have social transformation, which is the overall goal of the Satoyama training that we have in Ifugao. With that, we have the so-called Satoyama online course in our here in our university. This is accessible throughout the world. So this is our website of the Faculty of Management and Development Studies, where we are advertising the Satoyama online course. And this one is the introductory folder or introductory part of the course, which is also found online. So welcome to this new and seemingly different course on Satoyama online. Indeed, it is that different. Satoyama is a Japanese word referring to, etc., etc. So it's like this in the it's just like a teacher lecturing to students. So you will have here the different subtopics. The profile of our students as of 2014, they were all working, married, mostly. They were degree holders, but they were all digitally literate. But they are living far from schools. They want to pursue, but they are living far from schools. They cannot go to school, and therefore they enrolled in our course. They want to learn more about human nature interaction. 24 students were graduated in December 2014. And we are starting another semester from January to June, and then we will have another one by July to December. And we are enjoining everyone to please enroll here. So Satoyama education in the 21st century should be using web technology. Web technology should be explored. It may not be that option alone. It can just be one option. Video lectures may be done, and then mobile, smartphones, and internet may be resorted to so as to address distance problems. Especially in Ifugao, we have really problems about distance. And even if it is only Ifugao, one province, but it's the roads are quite challenging. So it's very difficult. You cannot just go there the whole day. And then consultations could be by phone, by Skype. They can consult with the workforce advisors, right? So that could be an option. That could be an option. Even botany. Botany is a very hard science, they say, like physics, like chemistry. But then even botany, in the UNESCO, the main office of UNESCO in France, they were calling all botanists to go into digital technology as well. And they said, you see, our main goal here is to botanize the whole world, is to infect the whole world. But what can we do if our collections are only in the closet? So people in France, particularly, they have started to digitize all the specimens. And they have all of this online now in the web, free for all of us. Free for all of us. US is doing that as well. UK is doing that, and many other advanced countries. And I think we have to follow. We have to follow as well. You know why the hardcore sciences are also convinced that web technology would be very important? Because they have found out that the university ethos, the university culture of excellence, academic freedom, humanism, intellectual pluralism, cultural diversity, and service to society are there, embedded. Because, you see, the university is a very conservative organization, and they are always guarding the ethos of the university. the culture of the university, and they want excellence to be there, academic freedom should be there. In the online delivery of classes, it should be there as well. It should be there. There is democracy. There is pluralism as well. Cannot be lost just because we are now in the online technology. Therefore, the botanists during that meeting in 2013, they made a declaration. 2014, they made a declaration together with UNESCO that they have to support going into that, so that people will learn about botany and they would learn how to conserve the environment, how to enhance ecosystem services. So Satoyama education in the 21st century should be networked. Networked should be borderless. We cannot just be bordered in the four walls of the classroom. It is networked and it's global, whether physical or virtual. And then it should be interdisciplinary. You see, you are in fact an example of an interdisciplinary group. We are not only focusing on people coming from the natural sciences. It should also be people coming from the different fields. Engineering is important here. Sociology is important. Anthropology is important. Psychology is important. Statistics is important. All courses, agriculture, forestry, they are very important. Just because you are a forester, you will be the only one qualified? No. Everybody is important here. Everybody is a resource. And it has to be mobile and has the urgency of purpose. Urgency, why urgent? Because we might die. We might die. We might die. So it has to be urgent. You see, now we are always buying water. Before, in the old Satoyama landscape, they do not know natural water. What is this? The mineral water. They never knew what mineral water is. If their spirits are living now, they would not know what is mineral water. But these are indications already of our lost landscape. These are indicators of our lost, devastated landscape, which we have to rehabilitate. And it's in our hands now, the workforce. How to do this? We have to put an end to indiscriminate cutting in the muyong, in our forests, or wherever that would be, so that the ecosystem services will be sustained. Our hope, there should be respect for the land as a living entity. Because you see, people now, this is Mayoyaw landscape. By the way, very nice landscape. I think one of my most favorite landscape in Ifugao, the Mayoyaw landscape. I have never gone back to Mayoyaw. I just hope I would be back again to Mayoyaw. It's a very nice landscape, and I've been telling our chancellor, our vice chancellor here for academic affairs, that Mayoyaw is really a great landscape to look forward to. And you see, our hope here should be to respect the land. Many people are just saying that, oh, the land is good, but they have never been respecting the land as a living entity. The ecologists, the people who are studying ecology, like Sensei, we consider the land as a living entity. That's why if we try to destroy the land, we are killing one life. One organism is being killed. In fact, in the soil, there are several organisms, millions of organisms, which are very important in the nutrient cycling of the soil. So our hope then would be for everybody to consider, to respect the land as a living entity. In fact, this is one of the advocacy of Aldo Leopold, one of the very famous ecologists in the US. And when there is respect for the land, agro-biodiversity in Ifugao, you have great diversity of rice, which we always patronize, and which you should always be proud of. Agro-biodiversity is safeguarded And hence, food security is safeguarded as well. One of our big problems, food security. But it takes respect for the land. It takes respect for the land. And the workforce has to emphasize this in dealing with our trainees. They have to respect the land as a living entity. Respecting the land alone is not enough. Respecting the land as a living entity is the correct term here. The correct advocacy. The correct byline. Or how do we call that? Hashtag. That should be the correct hashtag here. Respect the land as a living entity, as a community. A community for ecologists, for natural scientists. Community is living. Community is living. It's never non-living. By then, we will be able to sustain the world cultural heritage, our heritage. It will be a reality if we will be doing that. So therefore, our capacity building should be honest and sincere. I would like to emphasize, technically sound. We have to study. It takes effort. Just because we have our degrees now, not enough. We have to study. In the digital age, we can study more. You cannot just be content with your one degree. You go for another degree. That's why it has to be honest and sincere. It has to be technically sound. That's why I said we have to study. We cannot just stop studying. Especially we are coming from different fields, but do not feel an outcast, or because all fields are important to rehabilitate the entire Satoyama landscape. It's not only one field. If we go only for the natural science, no, cannot be. We need managers here. We need somebody who will compute. We need somebody who will understand the nature of humans, and that is the social science. We need somebody who would know how to do agriculture in the 21st century. Only texting? Doing farming in this one? No, cannot be. But how do we do that? How do we situate our agriculture in the 21st century? How do we situate forestry in the 21st century? How do we situate training programs in the 21st century? This is what I am referring to now. And I think we really have to spend time thinking and feeling. We are very happy. JICA is helping us in rehabilitating our landscape, and therefore we have to do our utmost, make the most, no? Make the most. Our last recourse has to be there, because we are helped already. Then we have to be sensitive of the local culture, and we should have that true Bayanihan spirit and Satoyama spirit in the 21st century. The spirit is there, but in the context of the 21st century. Thank you very much.